How would you describe yourself? I would describe myself as an outgoing individual. I grew up playing team sports and getting involved in a lot of school clubs and activities and extracurriculars. And all of those allowed me to work with other people and collaborate and meet a lot of new people as well, which I've grown to love. And that's something that's become a big part of me is I like to get to know people and work with people and that sort of thing. I took a lot of math classes and business classes when I was younger, and not only did I really enjoy those classes, but I ended up being pretty good at them. So I knew at a young age that I wanted to pursue a career in business. And as I grew older and kind of learned more about myself, I realized that finance is the industry I want to go into, and specifically real estate finance, because that'll allow me to work with other people as well as still work with numbers, and I'll be able to help people at the same time. Why did you choose IU and the Kelley School of Business? So I actually took a really unusual route to get to IU. I always pictured myself at IU when I was younger, and I was like, yeah, I'm gonna go to IU and it'll be great. But actually when I was in high school, I started to get recruited to go to different colleges to play soccer, and that was something that I had always kind of hoped for in the back of my head, but I didn't think would actually get to happen to me. So I committed when I was a sophomore in high school to play soccer at Xavier University in Cincinnati. They had a really good business school, and I thought it would be a great fit for me. But when I got to Xavier and was playing soccer there, I realized that not only was Xavier not the school for me, but playing soccer was no longer a passion of mine. So I transferred to IU after my freshman year, and I worked really hard during my first semester so I could get accepted into the Kelley School of Business, because I knew what a great reputation it had and what a great education I would get from Kelley. And now that I'm here, I'm happier than I've ever been, especially now versus when I was at Xavier and I was just not where I was meant to be. When working on a team, what role do you typically take on? Please give me an example. So I typically take on a communicator or a leadership type of role. I really like to get people talking and involved, and I don't think much work gets done unless people are talking with each other and sharing ideas, and I think that's how the best ideas come, is if we're all working together and talking and sharing out loud. So for an example, in my business presentations class, we got our teams, and our first meeting was kind of awkward. You know, not many people were talking, everyone was a little shy, and so I thought we should just play this game that isn't even really a game now that I think about it, but we just went around and we tried to guess little things about different people. So for example, we would try to guess what their favorite childhood food was, or what their dream job was when they were really little. And that kind of got everyone more comfortable with each other, and we were laughing. And after that, the meeting started going a lot better, and we got a lot more done in the second half of the meeting than we did in the first, like, 70. That didn't make sense. We got a lot more done with everyone talking and working together than when we were all really quiet and just kind of like passive and not really saying much. Walk me through how you determine priorities and scheduling your time. I like to make lists. I'm a big list girl. And then once I make the list, I'll put things in order of what is most important to get done. So like if there's a big project and then a lot of small assignments, I'll put that big project as number one to get done, and I'll knock that out. So it's kind of like a big weight is off my shoulders. I want to put the most effort into what's going to be most important and valuable, and make sure that that gets done, so I don't push it off until the last minute. Tell me about a time where you had to conform to a policy to which you didn't agree. So when I played soccer at Xavier, there were a lot of NCAA rules that we had to follow, and Xavier school policies for their athletics that we also had to follow. And there was a lot, let me tell you. But one thing that I didn't personally agree with was that all athletes had to get 8 hours of study tables every week, on top of our classes and practices and weights and all of that stuff. So for me personally, I've always had pretty good time management skills, and I know that when I need to get homework done and just how to plan my days around that. But with the 8 hours of study tables, I found myself just sitting, and I would finish my work and then I would just have to sit in there for the rest of the 5 hours of the week to finish the rest of nothing like that I had already finished. So I didn't agree with having 8 hours a week, especially since we already had practices and so much other stuff going on. But I figured as long as the school has this policy in place, I don't want to cause any trouble. I just want to obey. So I still did all the 8 hours every week, but it was more than I personally would have wanted. Describe your ideal supervisor. My ideal supervisor is someone who is a decision maker, and they tell me what they want and they tell me how they want it done, and then they let me go do it. I really like structure and knowing what I'm supposed to be doing and how things are supposed to be done, and then I'll work hard to get it done and get it done well. I also like someone who is laid back and understands that mistakes happen and it's not the end of the world, but they also aren't afraid to tell you when you've done something wrong, because no one learns unless someone points out their errors and tells them how to fix it. So my ideal supervisor is someone who will tell you when something's wrong and let you go fix it. Yeah. What skills have you done to enhance your knowledge and skills related to diversity? As I mentioned earlier, I really like to get involved in a lot of different clubs and activities, especially on campus. And so I've gotten involved in the IU Dance Marathon Marketing Committee, Alpha Chi Omega, Balance at Kelly, and all of those different clubs have introduced me to new people with diverse backgrounds and just a lot of different diversity in general. And being a part of those clubs has helped me learn how to work with diverse groups and how to encourage inclusivity and diversity within like projects and how to collaborate and that sort of thing. So I really think just getting involved has helped me a lot with learning about diversity and building skills related to that. Tell me about a time when you had to be relatively quick in making a decision. So I am someone who can go back and forth for days and make out pros and cons lists and really spend my time on making decisions, so I make sure I make the right one. But when I was a hostess, we had 2 really large groups come in at once, and they both wanted tables set up, but we didn't have the tables available for both parties to get seated. So for the first group, I decided to send them to the bar and get them drinks so they could get started with their evening, and then the other group I set up a table immediately. And normally when big parties come in, we have to get it approved by our manager, but our manager was in the back working on things, so I just had to make a split-second decision to go ahead and get these parties started so that they could be seated and get their food as quickly as possible. And as a result, both parties ended up being really happy, and they were very understanding that it was difficult to get the tables ready on time, but they appreciated that I was so quick to get it started, and they ended up leaving good tips for the waiters. If we came to your house for dinner, what would you make us? I love this question because I love cooking and making meals, and one of my favorite meals to eat is, oh, it's so good. It's this grilled chicken with a chimichurri sauce on it, and I didn't know what chimichurri sauce is, but it's a really good mixture of like, I don't know how to describe it, but it's really good. You just have to trust me on that. And then I would have some sides. I love anything sweet potato related, so I would probably have sweet potato wedges and then also green beans because we want to be healthy. And then what's dinner without dessert? So I would also have some snickerdoodle cookies for dessert. So chimichurri sauce with chicken, sweet potato fries, green beans, and snickerdoodles to top it off. What questions do you have for me today? I am curious what the work culture is here and how your employees interact on a day-to-day basis. Okay, thank you. I don't know. Okay, thank you.